Oh, you fixed the clock. That means you got to be quiet.
Okay, Dan.
Well, welcome tonight to the Owensboro Board of Commissioners regular meeting, June 19th, 2018. At this time, I would ask City Clerk Beth Cecil to please call the roll.
Commissioner Jay Vallada,
Here.
Commissioner Larry Conder,
Here.
Mayor Tom Watson,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bob Glenn is unavailable, Commissioner Pam Smithwright.
Here.
Thank you. This time we'll have the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand. Good evening and welcome again to your house. Please pray with me tonight in thanksgiving for all the blessings bestowed on us, especially for the blessing of Mr. Bill Parrish, as tonight will be his last meeting. At a time in the world when it always seems that everything is us versus them, please stop and try and be kind to those who may disagree with you, and join in thanksgiving for all that we have, because there are so many that have so little. Surely we can agree upon that. So I ask that you, Heavenly Father, please give us the strength to have eyes that can always see the best in people, a mind that can forget the bad, a heart that can forgive the worst, and help us in our faith, our Heavenly Father, because with faith comes hope, and hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things. So as we pray in our own way tonight, may the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, let us keep our hearts and minds in the knowledge and the love of God, and the blessings of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be amongst us and remain with us always. We thank you in your name, as we all say together.
Amen.
Our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have a motion to adjourn real quick. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to deviate from the schedule just a little bit, and we'll go straight to personnel appointments. At this time, I'll call on City Manager Bill Parrish.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're
I'm
welcome.
asking the Commission tonight to consider the following personnel appointments. Nate Pagan, probationary, full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment to City Manager, effective June 24th. Todd Martin, probationary, full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment to refuse truck driver, effective June 24th. James Howard and James Pickrell, probationary, full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment, battalion chief, effective June 24th. Bobby Grant and Ryan Kaufman, probationary, full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment, fire captains, effective June 24th. Kyle Veach, probationary, full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment to fire lieutenant, effective June 24th. And Jeffrey Roby, probationary, full-time, non-civil service appointment, evidence collection unit technician, effective July 2nd, contingent upon post-offer test results.
Thank you, sir. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion from the commission? Would like to read this letter from, it's my greatest pleasure to extend my most heartfelt congratulations on your appointment of Nate Pagan as the city manager in Owensboro. I applaud your decision, and I believe that he will make a fine addition to the city. On behalf of the people of Hopkinsville, I want to offer many congratulations and thanks. If I may be ever assistance to you, please do not hesitate to call Mayor of Hopkinsville, Carter Hendricks. So a really nice touch there for Nate. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time we're going to go to 5A, Owensboro Fire Department badge pinning. Chief Mitchell? Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Steve Mitchell, Fire Chief. I'm pleased to be here this evening. It's not that often that the fire department turns over several members of our command and management staff and our supervisory staff. So I'm pleased to be here tonight and honored to present them to you. Just introduce them briefly and then invite you down to be part of their badge pinning. James Howard started with the city as a public safety dispatcher back in 1998 and now has risen through the ranks to battalion chief. Howard is a graduate of all of our internal professional development programs, the National Fire Academy, and has a master's of public administration. He will soon take over the shift commander of our first crew. Jason Pickrell came to us in 2001 and also has now risen through the ranks to battalion chief. Also a graduate of all of our internal professional development programs, has numerous certifications, and also holds a master's of public administration at WKU. Jason will take over as shift commander of 3rd Crew and will oversee all of our facilities and protective equipment. Bobby Grant came to us in 2006, very active, and has now risen to the rank of captain. Also a graduate of our internal professional development programs and also holds a master's of public administration from WKU. He will become the operations captain under Battalion Chief Pickrell on 3rd Crew. R.C. Kaufman also came to us in 2006 and has now risen through the ranks of captain. He also graduated our company officer development program and has a bachelor's in communications and public relations from Kentucky Wesleyan. He will be handling the south end of the city for Battalion Chief James Howard. And Kyle Veach actually started climbing the ranks of the Richmond Fire Department in Richmond, Kentucky, before we stole him away in 2010 and brought him to Owensboro. He also has a bachelor's in fire science from Eastern Kentucky University, and he will start serving on 2nd Crew. Mayor and Commissioners, if you would join us down front on the ends here, and you can join us in the badge pinning. If the family members could go on up, please.
Who's taking over for Van Winkle? That's all I want to know. Which one have you got? Ain't replaced.
So what they'll do is they'll remove their current badge and they'll pin their new badge on. Okay, if you could all kind of squeeze together a little bit with the mayor and commissioner so we can get a picture.
Everybody else who wants to get up there, come on. You gotta get out.
Okay, thank you. And the family members? For additional pictures for the family members, we're going to step outside in the lobby and let the commission commence on their business this evening. So. Thank you.
That thinned it out.
Chief. Okay, before we go to Tim, I'd like to recognize Richard House. He's a candidate for our city clerk. He's in our audience tonight, and DJ Johnson, House Representative member from Owensboro. He's here tonight. And then, of course, my wife's here, Barbara. She's got a record going. She won't quit. And then there's Austin. So, okay. All right, item number 5B will be Tim Ross with a Public Events Director update.
Thank you, Mayor Commission. Tim Ross, Director of Public Events.
Talk slower, Tim.
I will, don't worry. Austin's here. Well, just wanted to give you a few updates for some of the big signature things that come up kind of seasonally. And obviously with July 4th around the corner, there's several things coming up over the next few weeks. One of those this weekend, there's several things taking place, and one of those that's a great draw for our community and draws visitors from around the region is at the Botanical Gardens with their dazzling Daylilies Festival and the balloons over the garden, which they added just a few years ago. Great event, certainly unique if you've not had the opportunity to go out there and see it. It's not every day that you get to be up close with hot air balloons and the chance to ride in some hot air balloons. It's a unique experience if you haven't had a chance to do that. So take a look at that. All the information is on the website, and if the weather holds up like they're hoping it will, it'd be a great time. So hot air balloons.
Is there like a weight limit or anything on these balloons?
I'm not an expert, but I don't think so. I've seen people of all sizes in hot air balloons before, and it is really a unique experience. Romp is right around the corner. Signature event for our community that we're happy to partner with the Bluegrass Museum folks and help support them in a little bit of ways. And they've got a great lineup again this year for that event that draws thousands of folks from all over the country. So Romp is coming up right at the end of the month, June 27th through the 30th. And all that information you can grab online. Music series that we have continue, Bluegrass on the Banks, twice a month. The cruise in that happens the first Saturday of the month, and they draw quite a crowd down there of cars and visitors on that first Saturday each month down along 2nd Street downtown. Live on the Banks, a great event that is kind of a complement in a lot of ways to Friday After 5. It is not Friday After 5. It's very different than that in the feel, but we get a lot of folks that we get comments every week almost. Our office gets emails and communication from folks that they love the different atmosphere. Friday After 5 has certainly grown tremendously, and it's a great party, and Riverfront takes up the whole Riverfront with great crowds. It's a great atmosphere. And Live on the Banks is just a little more laid back, a little more relaxed every Saturday evening with music on 2 stages. And then, believe it or not, 2 weeks from tomorrow, we're already half done with the year on July 4th. And so our All-American 4th of July is Wednesday, July 4th. Activities kind of kick off over at the Convention Center at 4 o'clock that afternoon with Fourth Fest that they've got every year. They've got a great partnership with Kentucky Legend, and they've got a tremendous number of activities for kids, carnival games, bounce houses, obstacle courses, you name it, that they've got there with food and drinks and music. And then we've got 2 stages downtown that have got activities and music that starts at 5, and then we do the fireworks out over the river. So Fourth Fest, Wednesday, July 4, from 4 till at end of the fireworks at the Convention Center, and then the fireworks over the river are at 9:15. We do close Veterans Boulevard. This is the same layout that we've had with the city for several years now, but we close Veterans Boulevard that afternoon, and there'll be plenty of food and drink vendors up and down Veterans there throughout the evening with music, and then again fireworks at 9:15, and we wrap it up after that. So that's our All-American 4th of July in just a couple of weeks. So a busy calendar. Everybody can get the information at visitowensboro.com or our city calendar at owensboro.org if they're looking for any more information. So it's a busy calendar.
I have a couple of questions for you, please.
Yes, sir.
The music on the banks, those 2 things you're talking about.
Sure.
Will that continue on next year while the Bluegrass Museum is opening up, trying to get events at that in their venue? Is there going to be any kind of conflict there as they're trying to do revenue?
Potentially. We've talked to Chris and the Bluegrass Museum several years ago when he first came here to try to complement and help establish that Bluegrass brand here. In those initial conversations, and even when we spoke about 6 months ago about it again, They hadn't determined what their regular programming was going to be, what nights they were going to be doing that. So we will continue those conversations. So we haven't written it out yet. We don't want to conflict when they've got programming on their nights, but we have not established a calendar for next year yet to know that for sure.
Okay, so that's free to the public, but the city pays for that, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the big question everyone's asking me, what time's Allison Krauss singing?
Her set time, I don't know. I'd have to look on the website for that one. Typically, the headliner starts that evening somewhere between 7:30 and 8:30, but I would have to look at the romp. The romp, on the romp website, it's got the actual schedule, tentative schedule on there.
And they have an app now as well, is that correct?
They do. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you, events manager. Appreciate it. Okay. Item number 6, I believe. Ordinance, second reading, 6A. Counselor?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners.
Welcome.
Ordinance 10-2018, an ordinance amending the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2017 and ending June 30th, 2018, and amending Ordinance 9-2017 to fund the budget contingency and subsidize the recreational fund. Publicly read for approval on second reading this 19th day of June, 2018.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I guess we talked about this last week, maybe? Okay, any discussion from the elected officials? I have a question. This budget amendment, what exactly does that money go for, excuse me, bad grammar. It says subsidize the recreational fund. I assume it comes from the general fund to
It
that?
does, Mayor. The recreational fund never pays enough in the fees that folks pay to cover the cost for events. It's always subsidized to some degree. What has happened, though, is we had a very difficult weather season, and while a couple of areas did very well, the pools overperformed and Fisher Park Ball Facility overperformed. They did better than expected, but Ben Hawes and Hillcrest golf courses, the Edge, and the tennis facility did slightly less. They underperformed. That requires an additional subsidy of $127,433 to allow the rec fund to break even for the year. There are years, of course, on the other way around, the rec fund actually overperforms, but the weather was so bad this year, primarily rain and heat, that it underperformed.
Okay, thank you. So the 127,000 though is going towards Ben Hawes,
Ben Hawes and Hillcrest Golf Course,
the
the
Edge,
Edge, and the tennis facility.
the one out there on Shively.
Yeah, I'll ask Amanda to elaborate if you don't mind, Mayor. She
Sure,
can
I'd
go
like
into greater
to
detail.
have her elaborate.
Amanda Rogers, Director of Parks and Recreation. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
As Bill mentioned, there are 4 areas within the rec fund that underperformed this year, and he is exactly correct when he states it's due to weather. I'll give you an example. You would think the Edge Ice Center, as it's an enclosed facility, would have no issues when the weather is poor outside, but our revenue, we anticipate that it'll be down fairly significantly this year. And some examples of that is typically we have about 320 some odd birthday parties at this point over the course of the year, and we've had 274 to this point. So that revenue line alone within the rec fund is $14,000 under budget at the current time. Another example is greens fees and golf fees, rounds of play at our golf courses. We're behind in those. Typically at this point in the year, we've had about 26 days that we've been closed due to weather at the golf courses. We've had 55 already this year. So really, the rec fund is highly dependent upon weather, and those things affect our revenues.
So the 88,000 that's going into Hawes, that doesn't wipe away the stipend we have to give to keep that thing going regularly, and that's just to make up for.
That makes up the difference, yes, sir, from what we anticipated we have at the beginning of the year and where we actually think we'll end the year. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Condon?
Thank you. Since Amanda's up asking some questions, and this is concerning the 17-18 budget, but looking forward into the 18-19, effective July 1st, there is some new taxation that's going to be coming into, whether it be golf course fees, events, rental spaces, or anything like that. Do you have an estimation of the impact of what that's going to have? Because we're talking about today weather. affecting what is happening in the subsidy.
Yes.
Is that going to have any type of a effect on anything that you can see out in the future?
No, sir. The way that typically what we do in taxes, and I'll give you, we currently tax several things that we collect revenue for now. For example, concessions. If you go to my concession stand and you purchase a soda, you're going to pay $2. A portion of that $2 goes towards the tax. Basically, we're collecting that on your behalf, and then we're shuttling that out to the state. So all of those changes through the House bill that affect sales and excise tax, we are taking that into consideration. It will affect us. Shelter revenues, facility rentals are things we currently don't tax. Those will be taxed. Greens fees, passes at the golf courses, those will now be taxed. So we are actually meeting with the Finance Department tomorrow. I know that behind the scenes, they've been talking to the Department of Revenue. Behind the scenes, I've been talking to the Department of Revenue, making sure we're all on the same page. And we're going to sit down tomorrow. But how that will work is we'll roll that fee. My recommendation will be that we roll that fee, as we do now, into the price that the customer pays. So when you go to our register, you're not paying $2.12, you're just paying $2. But there are some of those fees that we have that will need to be adjusted based upon that adding of that tax.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome.
So you're going to absorb the tax or you're going to go ahead and, it's not going to be absorbed by our existing
No,
revenue?
sir. We will be increasing fees, yes, sir.
That's House Bill 487, if I remember correctly, DJ Johnson. Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, we're going to vote on 6A. This will be roll call. City Manager Beth Cecil. City Clerk, I mean.
Commissioner Vallada,
Yes.
Commissioner Condor,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright.
Aye.
Thank you, Amanda. Item 6B, Counselor.
Ordinance 11-2018, an ordinance authorizing and directing the rebate of 1% of all occupational license fees due and payable to the City of Owensboro, Kentucky by ordinance from the salaries, wages, and other compensation to be paid to new employees hired by UniFirst Corporation, provided said company meets the criteria set forth in its application for incentives under the Kentucky Business Investment Program. Publicly read for approval on second reading this 19th day of June, 2018.
I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
We talked about that last week. Any public comment on that? Anybody from the dais? The only comment I will make is UniFirst is really looking for a way to get their second shift people to work. I would hope that at some point in time we can kind of look at our bus schedule and see if we can help them out with that. Most of those folks have a difficult time getting the second shift work out there, and there are quite a few jobs. So, roll call, please.
Commissioner Condor,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright,
Aye.
Commissioner Vallada.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Cecil. Item 7, ordinance none, first reading. Item 8, municipal orders. Counselor.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Municipal Order 15-2018, a municipal order approving the 2018-2019 Annual Action Plan for Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Funds, prepared by the Community Development Department and authorizing and directing the mayor to execute the same. Introduced and publicly read for approval this 19th day of June, 2018.
Okay. Ms. Shelton, please take the dais and state your name and address for the record.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you very much. Abby Shelton, Community Development Director for the City of Owensboro. I have a very short presentation to explain the final step in this process that's been ongoing for a few months now, to approve the annual action plan for next year. So this is one of 3 major reports that we do for HUD for approval of the funds that we will use for the next year. The annual action plan obviously is done every year. We will finish the CAPER for the year-end report, for the fiscal year-end report for the federal government in October, and then we will embark on a consolidated plan starting December of this year to submit for the 5-year plan coming up 2020-2025. Our funding sources come from the THUD appropriations bill. It is based on our population, and the appropriations did go up this year, so we received a little more funding, which I will touch base on a little later. We received community development block grant funds and home investment partnership funds. And in our annual action plan, basically what we do is hold true to what the 5-year plan is going to be. So we are going to spend the majority of our funds in the Triplet Twist District again this upcoming year. So we have a summary of our annual objectives, proposed accomplishments, and method of distributing funds. And of course, all the red tape with the HUD certifications that we must submit as well. So this chart has, since I've been here, dwindled every year, except this year, obviously, it went up. So it's an exciting chart to me. Of course, federal government has tightened their belt, and we've all felt it trickle down to the local level. But this year, we did receive close to $100,000 of more funding, combined total between CDBG and home funds. So for the 18-19 year, we will focus more in the focus mainly in the Triplet Twist area, focusing on our existing homeowner exterior rehab program, commercial-based grants, beautification, landscape beautification, and the first-time homebuyer down payment assistance program. So our estimated subtotal for this year's 2018-19 funding is $306,000 in the Triplet Twist area, with $70,000 going to our homebuyer rehab program, and that's other projects and partnerships that we do outside of Triplet Twist. We reserve some of those funds just in case. And our planning and administration that we are allowed to derive from that grant is a total of $94,000. So our estimated was $410,000, but of course we came in with a larger revenue of $471,543 for CDBG funding. Now for our home budget, it's a little more simple. Our home buyer program, which is funds can only be used for home buyer and home building programs, projects, is $205,000. So we do have a community housing development organization set aside, CHODO, as we call it, for 15%. That totals $41,098, and then we're allowed to take 10% of our home funding to go towards administration. So our proposed budget was $180,000, and our revenue this year was $273,000. So we were very pleased to be able to spend more money with partnerships in the city. Eligible activities for our CDBG program, of course, we have to hold true to what HUD wants us to do, and those 3 main activities are providing benefit to low to moderate income people, aiding in the prevention or elimination of slums and blight, and addressing an urgent need in case we have an earthquake, floods, severe hurricane winds. Our action plan overview basically states that we're going to use all our funding to improve the overall quality of life through eliminating the unsound housing in neighborhoods, improving shelter facilities, and working with partnerships throughout the community. And that's a really condensed version of a really huge piece of paper, or docket of paper that I have to submit to HUD. And you all have received that draft copy in your mailbox. I'm not going to list all the partnerships, but of course, as a department of one, it's important to have very good partnerships, strong partnerships within the city through social service agencies, homeless agencies, any other low-income agencies that provide those services to individuals that we also cross-cut and work with. So it's very important to have strong partnerships, which I do work on throughout the year. Our 2018 income limits, of course, our clients are all based on how much they make, and they have to be low income. So that's the 2018 income limit chart that did go up a little bit, which is an indicator of the increased revenue that the citizens individually are pulling into their households. Mayor and Commissioners, I do present this annual action plan for your approval, and I would like to take a second to say how what a pleasure it's been to work with City Manager Bill Parrish these past years.
Thank you, Ms. Shelton. Hang loose a minute. Any discussion from the elected officials? Commissioner Pam Smith Wright.
Abby, when the triplet twist is finished, have you looked further ahead as to where you would?
Yes, ma'am. Preliminarily, there's an opportunity zone that's been identified by the federal government, and I think it'd be prudent to investigate the number of unsound housing units in that area. They do qualify, obviously, because that was one of the criteria, but I think it's important for us to look at not only the housing side, the home ownership side, but the commercial side. So I would say the northern 2 tracts in the city that include parts of the downtown and some of where the industrial factory housing is located in the south or in the northwest corner of the city.
Like 2nd Street?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I used to think the budget here was crazy. This stuff she does, it's a Rubik's Cube. I'm not kidding you. Every time she sends me something, I got to call her up and have her explain it to me like Ricky Ricardo would say. But thank you, Abby. And again, I heard your plea for Department of One. That you kind of slipped that in there. We heard that, so we do appreciate what you're doing. Okay, any public comment? Hearing none. What? Do what? Did we not do a motion yet? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Cecil.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright,
Aye.
Commissioner Villada,
Yes.
Commissioner Condor.
Yes.
Okay, motion approved. Thank you, Evan. Okay, item number 9, recommendation to approve municipal order 1528 in 1 reading. All right, we did that. City manager items.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd ask you to recognize Ms. Hamrick for the financial report.
Hi, Ms. Hamrick.
Hi, Mayor. Yes, the financial report for the month ended April 30, 2018 for the City of Owensboro, Kentucky. Our general fund revenues through April 30th of $45,985,870 were $1,078,581 over budget. This is primarily due to the occupational and net profit license fee revenue. Our general fund expenditures of $40,453,090 were $2,568,535 under budget, primarily due to savings in personnel and timing and maintenance timing and maintenance and supplies. Our revenue and expenditures and our other funds are in line with the year-to-date budget with the following exceptions. The Convention Center Operations Fund, which is under budget in revenues due to timing, and the Transit Fund is under budget in federal and state grant revenues, which is also due to timing. But on a more current note, if I may, since we're here in the latter to mid part of June, I'll add that the Convention Center transfers are all but just about caught up back and forth. And the Transit Fund, we got our final approval. We've requested our draws, and we will have them all by the end of next week.
That's
so
wonderful.
just so everyone knows that we're current on that now. So,
Great.
and if Beth would pull up our graph.
Tommy Watson miss there, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so the graph that we get to review each month with our financials, the green bar shows our revenues based on our old rates. And it's, like I said, this is $41,095,095. And with our new rates, the number I just referenced, the $45,985,870. You'll see our expenditures of $40,453,090. So the bars will show in parity where we are, where we could have been at the old rates. At the old rates, had we been there, our surplus year to date would be $642,005. Because we've got these new rates, our year to date surplus is $5,532,781. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer.
I don't want to blindside you, but how much of that 5.5 is just strictly our property tax increase? You wouldn't know that, would you?
Well, our property tax revenues typically are $350,000 to $400,000 with the increases each year. So that's a ballpark that I
Okay.
can give you now.
No, that's okay.
And to keep in mind, too, that compounds each year when we take those increases.
I know about compounding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Ms. Hamrick?
Nothing, Mayor.
Commissioner Condon?
Angela, if you could break down our revenue surplus, if we could, please, because it does seem, as you look at the financials of our city and our community, that we continue to talk about how hot this economy is. April, from the occupational tax or license fee and net profit, just knocked it out of the park, is what it's doing. So on the converse side, you also see a not meeting a revenue budget on the IPLF.
Correct.
So could you address all three of those categories, which are basically our largest revenue stream outside of the property tax, please?
Sure, Commissioner, I'd be happy to. Our net profits, which is similar, I like to think of it as a state income tax, but it's at the local level. It's kind of what we would refer to as our Owensboro income tax. And so that rate is 1.78%, and that's what a business owner pays on their net profits. And there's really no way to track this from the finance department month to month. These companies do not report to us in any way, shape, or form until their net profit comes in. Most taxpayers, most businesses, if you will, have a calendar year in, which means that they file their net profit with us April 15th. It's the same time frame as your federal income tax return. Okay, so April's our big month. This is what we're reporting on. And so we are looking at $416,000 over budget. And I see that to be a sign of our local economy, that our local businesses are faring well as the companies that own our local businesses. You know, that all comes to play. So I think that's a good news story for the city of Owensboro at this point. Now, not all our businesses file in April, mind you. I mean, but I'm just saying that most businesses in Owensboro are a calendar year in, so most of them will file in April. Now, as you also asked me to talk about the occupational license fee, and that is our payroll withholding. For any employee that works, this is the payroll withholding tax that their employer withholds and then submits to the city. And, through the month of April, we have $395,530 over what we projected the budget to be. Again, this is another signal of our local economy and how well it's doing. I think part of it, you know, I know several businesses, U.S. Bank being one, and it's our second largest employer, giving their employees the $1,000 bonus. Through, you know, many companies throughout the country are doing that, and we've got that same thing happening here, and that certainly contributes to this as well. So I see these both as good news stories. And as far as the insurance premium license fee, what that is what a consumer pays. It's a fee that's paid based on the premium that we pay for our insurance, individuals as well as businesses. In our year-to-date, we're behind $204,465 on our year-to-date budget as compared to actuals. That does not concern me, and the reason why is because we budgeted $666,000 and we came in $328,000. The bulk, these payments come in over a 2-month time frame, and so the month of May, I'm looking to see a large submittal back to the city. So I'm not sweating on the IPLF just yet. I foresee this to come out close or slightly above budget.
So assuming then our expenditures come in line with budget over by the end of this fiscal year, the excess that we may have that's above our budgeted surplus, where does that go?
It will go to the general fund.
Okay.
And it will feed into the fund balance. You know, I spoke to the $5.5 million surplus, and I just want to remind everyone, especially our viewing audience, that to keep in mind that the months of May and June are 2 of our highest expenditure months. Mm-hmm. They're also 2 of our lowest revenue months. So, you know, we're going to see a lot of activity on the expenditure side in the next 2 months. Now, where we projected year-end back at budget time will be better because back then we didn't know where net profits would be. So we are looking to come in a little bit better than what we had projected at that point in time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
You're
Ms.
welcome.
Hamrick. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions? Comment from the public? Okay, at this time I'll make a motion to file for audit. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. Thank you, Ms. Hamrick.
Welcome, Mayor.
I like recognizing you when you got me good news. I'm going to recognize you when you got bad news for me. Okay, item 9B, city manager comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one item tonight. It's an item you brought up, Mayor, and asked me to look into. Tim Ross just reminded us that July 4th is fast approaching to celebrate our independence. And of course, that means fireworks for most folks. I'd ask your indulgence as we play two short public safety videos that talk about fireworks, and I'd like to elaborate on those for just a minute. These talk about rules and talk about safety for using fireworks in Owensboro. If you could play those.
I'm Battalion Chief Steve Leonard with the Owensboro Fire Department. We want you to be safe this 4th of July. There's about 3 rules that you need to know about to make sure you're safe. First of all, make sure you're old enough to buy fireworks and discharge fireworks. You have to be at least 18 years of age or older to buy those fireworks or discharge them. We have a lot of kids injured each year because of fireworks, especially eye injuries and hand injuries. Make sure that your kids are watching the display and not involved in it. Also keep in mind that you have to have plenty of distance between structures, vehicles, and people when you're discharging fireworks, at least 200 feet. Keep in mind that it's illegal to set fireworks off on the sidewalk or the street. Do not set them off on any parks, public areas at all. The other thing you need to keep in mind is be conscious of your neighbors. Do not set fireworks off in the middle of the night. As a matter of fact, it's illegal to do that. 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., except on the 3rd, 4th of July, and New Year's Eve and Memorial Day. After that, it's illegal to set them off. Make sure you have a water source available and you use fireworks the way the instructions say. Make sure you follow all of these rules. The Owensboro Fire Department wants you to be safe this 4th of July.
Nothing says the 4th of July like cookouts with family, pool parties with friends, outdoor concerts, and of course, fireworks. We want you to be safe and responsible with fireworks this 4th of July.
This is Officer Andrew Bogus, the Owensboro Police Department. Just here to remind you of the fireworks ordinance. It says that you cannot set off fireworks anywhere within 200 feet of any structure, person, vehicle. You must be at least 18 years old to set off fireworks. And we also have an ordinance that says that they must be set off between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. with the exception of July 3rd and July 4th, where you're allowed to set them off until midnight. Please, above all, just be respectful of other citizens and be mindful that there may be other people that have to work the next day and to make sure that you follow the hour ordinance.
If you want to see the best fireworks show in Owensboro, come downtown for a spectacular show on the riverfront Wednesday, July 4th. It's free and enjoyable for the entire family. And remember, be safe, respectful, and responsible this 4th of July with your fireworks.
Mayor, we're putting that out on TV 75, but also on our Facebook and our Instagram. We're pumping that out so that people can link to it and watch those videos. So there's no excuse to not know what the rules are to have a safe July 4th weekend. Additionally, Beth, if you could bring that flyer up. You asked us, Mayor, to be sure and get out a flyer to everyone who purchases fireworks in Owensboro. We've delivered these flyers to all of those folks, those vendors selling fireworks that, again, have those rules and regulations and also talk about safety. But I'd like to address a third area, Mayor, and you really brought this to my attention. There are folks that have pets that are bothered by this, that go absolutely nuts when your dog is in the house or your cat is in the house and these things are going off. But more importantly that, near and dear to everybody's heart in Owensboro, it's a patriotic, veterans-oriented community. Fireworks to those folks who served in a war zone often mean green tracers. Those who've been in a combat zone know what I'm talking about. I would ask that you respect their heroic sacrifice and abide by the rules and regulations and not push those folks into painful memories, to PTSD, and everything that goes along with that. Your best option for the 4th of July, safety and legally, is go to our July 4th fireworks celebration down on the river.
Very well said. We have some signs that are in front of the dais today we've probably got 30 or 40 or 50 of them left. Some were presented at the VFW and at the American Legion, and Commissioner Pam Smith Wright's going to take some to the, what is it?
AMVETS.
AMVETS. Gosh, I always get it, DAV and AMVETS. So, you know, if you've got a neighbor that, you know, an elderly gentleman or elderly lady that, you know, has a little trouble getting around, these things, you just stick that in their yard, and hopefully that these people will, you know, have a little kindness in their heart and not, because some of those things that go off, and my neighbor's the world's worst. I'm not going to say his name, but I mean, they start shooting those things off in about a week or so, and they go till a week or so afterwards. So we want you to have fun, and I thank the city and city manager for at least making an attempt, because I don't know about the rest of you, but I get pounded on. How come you can't send a policeman over there and stop these people from shooting those fireworks? And I said, call Art, don't call me. I don't have any control. No, there's just impossible. So you have to take your personal agenda hat off, put your community hat on, and think about folks that are around you that, you know, from seeing enough people, PTSD in my real world job, it's a real deal. So I ask you to be considerate as possible. Thank you, City Manager. Anything else, sir?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Communication from elected officials. Item 10. How am I doing? Okay, we'll start as usual. Ladies first. Commissioner Pam Smith Wright.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Just wanted to tell Bill what a great time I've had knowing him and being here for almost 10 years under your leadership. And the things that you've taught me, I will always remember. Thank you.
Start crying, it won't help me any. I got to go last. Commissioner Verlotta.
I would also like to thank Bill for his service to the community and appreciate everything you've done for me. Also, like to thank Commissioner Condor, his wife Rosemary, and my wife Lynn for helping with 100 Men Who Cook over the weekend. Had a great time at that benefit for Boys and Girls
My
Club.
food was better.
YMCA. I don't know. We had a lot of
Food was better.
good positive feedback on the T-box walking tacos. No disrespect, but had a fantastic time and appreciate everybody coming out and supporting that deal. Other than that, that's all I got. And I am glad to be here, Mayor. Thank you.
Way to go. Commissioner Condor.
Glad to be here. Just a couple of notes. I wanted to the man in the white cowboy hat. Everybody probably knows exactly who that is. Our Sheriff Keith Kane winning the National Sheriff's Award. Awesome award for him. Great for our community and great for our first responders, all, no matter what. So thank you, and you need to see and shake his hand. If I could please, Mayor, maybe possibly.
You gonna sing?
No, I'm not going to sing. I could, I guess. I want to. If I can ask a question, and I've received several comments over the last couple of weeks about our inlet water feature and the status of when that might be.
Might as well get up, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Wayne Shelton, Public Works Director. You know, that's a good question, observation on the inlet water feature not being opened yet. You know, the inlet water feature itself, lower trough area, really dependent upon when the river reaches a summer pool elevation. You know, historically, if you look at the calendar, that's about the third week in June. You know, the weather this spring has been a little up and down, and with that, the river has been a little up and down. You know, folks have kind of forgotten that, you know, we did have a spring flood, and that area of the park kind of went under water and left quite a bit of silt deposits. You know, the inlet water features, upper chambers, actually suffered, heavy deposits of silt and debris that was left in it from the spring flooding. So while we're about a week late in opening the feature, efforts have been made directed at cleaning those upper chambers. That task has been fairly well accomplished, and you can expect, hopefully as early as tomorrow morning, that crews will shift down to the lower areas and begin working on cleaning out the lower troughs and clean out from the inland water feature. So, if the weather holds and the river stays where it's at, then I anticipate that the feature will be open next week.
Thank you, Wayne. One last comment, please, if I could, Mayor. City Manager Bill Parrish, whenever I first came in, he would make a couple of comments to myself about things I would ask for questions about. And he always said this: most of the time I would know if something was urgent if he asked me 3 times. So I got to the point where when I would ask something, I would ask it 3 times real quick, is what I would do, just to get to that point. So tonight being his last meeting that he's going to be sitting in this chair. So 3 times I will say this: thank you, thank you, thank you for all your work, all your time and dedication you've given to the city. It is well recognized.
Thank you, Commissioner Condor. The comments I have tonight are a little broad, and for those that worked on the OBKY project, don't think we've forgotten it. We had a meeting the other night with David and Ms. Brake and Fred Reeves, and we had always said that we were going to hold off, as city manager requested, until after the new budget comes in. But we have several things that cost little or no money that we're moving forward with. And just give you a little preview. I've created the Wendell H. Ford Mayor's Youth Council, and what we're going to do is use the kids at the Ford Center that are young and they've got to apply. There's a whole membership thing to try and be part of it, and that will come out of my contingency fund to fund that. So I'm looking forward to that. There's several other things that we think we can do that are little or no cost, like a big request to slow 2nd Street traffic down, just things like that we'll be able to embark upon as we move forward. I will mention that since city manager's leaving and assistant city manager / lawyer's leaving and the sanitation guy's gone and assistant public works director and 12 firefighters, 16 policemen, Leslie Neely has decided to leave me. So there must be something I'm doing wrong. So I wish her all the best. She's very pleasant. You saw her tonight. Her forte is broadcast journalism, and she was kind of tasked to do a bunch of different things, and she's going to go to work for a really good company, and I certainly wish her the best. I had the pleasure when I was playing mayor the last time. Excuse me, Austin, did I scare you? To hire city manager Bill Parrish from sanitation, of which he did a wonderful job there. And I think at the time we actually named the job CEO of the city of Owensboro, and through the years he's held up like a Marine, and that's what you expect, because he corrects me every now and then. I say former Marine, he goes, once a Marine, always a Marine. So I enjoyed working with you the last 2 years of my term, and I have bittersweet feelings that you're not going to be around to pass me on to something else. So I wish you and Vicki all the happiness in the world. You've earned it. We're looking forward to, would you say, fresh eyes with Nate coming on, and I think he'll do a wonderful job. So I personally want to thank you for all the stuff you've done for the city and fighting all the stuff that you had to fight through. Final thing, I get this from Harvest Baptist Temple every so often, and it says that we were remembered in their prayers. I don't think you can do anything better as a group, as a commission, than have a group at at this temple, at this Baptist church, to pray for us, because there's a lot of things that, you know, go on around here that nobody ever sees. And I want to thank them at Harvest Baptist Temple for, you know, thinking of us, and Pastor and Becky Dowdy, he's the pastor at the thing, and I just wanted to recognize that it doesn't get thrown in the trash. It goes in my desk with the important papers. So thank you. What's the matter now? What's going on? They're not doing something wrong? Okay. Y'all go ahead and play. All right. Open public forum. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Commission on any item or any matter of public concern that's not on tonight's agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope and responsibility of this commission. The City Commission meetings are held to conduct city business for the behalf of Owensboro citizens and taxpayers. The meetings are not intended to serve as public forums for candidates who are campaigning for public office. Political candidates, like any other citizen, may address any item on the City Commission agenda. During the open public forum, any citizen of Owensboro may address specific city-related issue not on the agenda, but candidates for any political office will not be allowed to use the commission meeting to promote his or her candidacy. At this time, anyone who wishes to address the City Commission, please make their way to the podium to be recognized. Speakers must state their name and address for the clerk's record and limit their remarks to 3 minutes. So, open public forum. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Ron Georgette, 1926 Triplet Street, Owensboro, Kentucky.
How are you tonight?
Fine, sir. Thank you, Mayor, and the Commissioners for allowing me to speak. I'll be brief because I can talk about this stuff all day long, and then if there are any questions, you can certainly ask me. Thank you for letting me speak on behalf of our organization, Operation Stand Down Kentucky, and what our intent is with the old Gabe's Tower, everyone's favorite subject, located here in Owensboro, Kentucky. My name is Ron Georgette, and I am the President and Chief Executive Officer of Operation Stand Down Kentucky, located in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We are a veteran service organization that focuses on 3 specific areas: fiduciary representative payee services, affordable housing, and rural transportation for veterans. On April 12, 2018, we held a community partnership meeting at the local AMVETS Post 119 located here in Owensboro. In attendance were the Marion, Evansville, and the Owensboro VA offices, to include other community partners. I mention our VA partners because it is important to note they are excited of the future services we intend to provide, not only for veterans in Daviess County, but surrounding counties as well. To be specific of what we will be providing for veterans is affordable housing, assisted living, hospice care, reintegration, and transitional homeless services for both male and female veterans. While the VA's homeless program offers assistance in many counties across the Commonwealth, the program does not exist here in Daviess County or the surrounding counties, making it difficult for veterans to find services. We intend to provide these much needed services. Once again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this with the city officials and the Owensboro community. We look forward to a great relationship with the city of Owensboro and all of our community partners serving our veterans. Any questions?
So which organization on the federal level are you connected with?
Which organization are we connected with?
Yes, sir.
We are our own separate organization.
Your own separate. So
yes, sir. A 501c3 registered with the state, charitable organization, nonprofit. We have a board. Our chairman is a active duty colonel that's a staff judge advocate, and our vice chairman is a Vietnam veteran.
And you say you're from Bowling Green?
Yes, sir. Our headquarters is in Bowling Green, but we'll soon be here in Owensboro.
And you're planning to do what here?
Well, we plan on providing affordable housing. This is a lot more lengthy than if you want me to go into detail.
No, that's okay. I'm just trying to get bullet points because I'm here to help you, not hurt you.
I can certainly go into detail about anything that you ask me about, but I can talk about this all night long. So we have a lack of affordable housing for our veterans here in the state of Kentucky. I work all over the state of Kentucky. We have clients all over the state of Kentucky. We have clients in other states.
So you're basically providing shelter for the homeless veterans through a nonprofit, through donations from the private sector. Is that correct?
Well, we get more donations than that. We get funding from a lot of different sources, but if I had to break it down, we would have one floor on that tower dedicated to reintegration for homeless veterans.
So what tower are you talking about?
Gabe's Tower.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Wait a minute. You got to go to over there, I guess, and state your name and address for the record, please. But you have to,
over here to this one?
well, unless y'all going to argue, you can do it there.
No.
If you don't slug it out or anything.
Okay, my name is Jessie Hedinger. I'm president of the VFW Auxiliary. Okay, I'd like to know when is the date you're going to have this done?
You want a detailed plan?
I just want to know an ideal date.
Well, first of all, we thought as a courtesy we would want to approach the city, hoping the city that would embrace us, because I've worked with homeless veterans for 7 years now since I retired with the VA's homeless program. And to give you an example, we had to move a veteran out of Daviess County at the resource fair that they had here at the Kentucky National Guard Armory. There was a young man that came up to me, like many other veterans, that we've had to relocate out of Daviess County because the VA's Supportive Services for Veterans Families program doesn't exist here. We commonly refer to this area as like, and I hate to say this, but the black hole and no help for veterans in the state of Kentucky, and that's the truth. Anybody can challenge me on it, and we can talk about it all night.
I'll be glad to challenge you on it, but we can do that off camera.
Well, I mean, the
go ahead.
VFW, the American Legion, they can only do so much. They only have so many financial resources. Wouldn't you agree?
Not all what you said.
What's that?
We do help our veterans here.
Oh, I'm not saying you don't, ma'am.
I know there is times and assists that we have to call the VA clinic to send some of the veterans to different places to get the help they need, because I work with them.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know.
We work closely with the Owensboro Clinic. We work closely with the Evansville Clinic. We work closely with the Marion Clinic. They call me to get those folks into housing, and you can ask them.
Okay, I will.
John, Dave Swenson. Dave Swenson works out of the Evansville VA office. I know all of them. We've been pushing to get the VA's program here for 3 years, and for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't know if it's politics. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but when a veteran is facing eviction in Lexington, Louisville, Paducah, Bowling Green, they can get immediate assistance as long as they've got a DD Form 214. Here in Daviess County, which the demographics are the same here as it is in Bowling Green, there's about as many veterans, within a couple hundred, to be honest with you. So it's been frustrating to come here to the resource fairs and then and then have a homeless veteran or a veteran that's struggling come up, and we've got to relocate them out of this community. So that is frustrating.
Well, I guess we'll look and see how it turns out for you, because I don't have any problem with it. I've been taking care of veterans for 40-something years, and
yes, sir.
And I understand the plight of the veterans. So, and I was at the resource fair.
Well,
so I just think that this is probably not the forum for everybody to have a lot of banter back and forth. We appreciate you.
If I say anything, I apologize.
No,
I certainly do.
I'm just trying to move this along.
Sure.
I think it's one. Pardon me. We're going to keep it going. Commissioner Smith Wright wants to ask you.
Well, I just had one question. I just want to make sure I understand what he's talking about. Are you saying that you want to turn Gabe's Tower into this place for homeless vets and that kind of stuff?
One floor will be dedicated to female and male homeless veterans through reintegration.
So what are you doing with the rest of the tower?
We want to create affordable housing, assisted living, hospice care. It's going to be a multifunctional building that will provide many different services for veterans and the surrounding counties. Because what happens too is often a veteran, well, they need assisted care and they have to maybe move 2 or 3 hours from here, and they want to stay in their community, and this has happened over and over again. And the families have to drive that far to go see the veterans. So I mean, I can literally talk about this all night, but it's going to be a multifunctional purpose use. We're going to create everything that we can create to create the best services here in Davies County and the surrounding counties, because the program doesn't exist in the surrounding counties either.
Well, since we're being sued by the owner of the tower, we really can't talk any more about this tonight. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you being here. Who else? How about a Boy Scout? Come on, man, get up there and tell me something.
Even better.
Man, do what he say? You got nothing. Are you just like Jay? You just happy to be here?
There you go, Jay.
But didn't your brother get the Eagle Scout like a couple of 3 weeks ago? Tell us about it. Come on up to the mic. Come on, man. Help us out a little bit. You got to state your name and address for the record.
Colin Rectorshell, 108.
I wanted to hear you say that last name because I can't say it.
Rectorshell?
Yeah, Rectorshell. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I don't know much that you want me to talk about.
Tell about the badge while you're here, man.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, what I know so far is you have to put so many hours of service project and you have to put in so many hours of being helpful to other scouts and trying to just improve the community to try and get the Eagle Scout requirement.
And that's what we all should be doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Rector Sal. I appreciate you coming to the mic. Anybody else, I believe? I think we have another presentation of Hello.
Hi, my name is Harini Cardwell. I'm a local artist, and I wanted to give the mayor a painting that I made for the city. We appreciate everything you do for the veterans here, so I made this for Memorial Day, and I wanted the city to have this.
Wow. That's awesome. Would you mind if we came out and took a picture with you all? No? $5. I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, you don't have to pay $5. You're welcome. I brought some. I took some to the Good. Tell us about your painting. Okay, let's hear it for these. Yeah, scoot in a little bit. Abby's got like a 20-year-old camera. Okay, which one do I get? Why don't you just put them all in the mayor's office? And the mayor will decide where they're all. How's that? Great. Did you do all? I'll do my favorite there. That's a good one. Like it on me there. Okay. I'm gonna get some hammers and some nails. Already got to figure out where they gotta go. You can just put them right there. If you would, just line them up and wait. She'll take care of that slide. Thank you. Okay. Who else is going to grace us tonight? Okay. $5.
I want to thank, my name is Jessie again.
And where you
As
live?
the president of the VFW, and I live at 1732 McCulloch Avenue. I do work with a lot of the veterans and homeless veterans. And I want to thank Owensboro because y'all do help us a lot with housing for veterans who can't afford it. A lot of people's not familiar with it, but I work with y'all a lot getting housing for some of the homeless veterans. This past year, we have put, I know myself, 5 into housing here in Owensboro. We have got calls from Louisville. I got a lady up there that works with the Veterans Affairs Organization up there, has given me lists of veterans to fix up for housing here because they can't find housing up there. So I want to thank all of y'all, and thank you, City, for doing what you're doing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yes. Anyone else? Okay. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Anybody with me?
So moved.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're done.